Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Friday, September 19th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks. That's going to be 5 players in total. 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. That's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. And then after that, we'll get moved over my cheat sheet and talk through my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. And in the morning, I'll be posting my early morning weather report that I have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I'll also be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down that comment section so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information as possible. But without further ado, we'll get right into it. The core picks, we're going to start off at that pitcher position. There are a lot of very viable pitchers on today's slate overall, but did ultimately end up paying up to the top with Garrett Crochet at $11,000. And he's currently averaging over 43 fantasy points on the season. He's going against the Tampa Bay Rays. He's got pretty good history versus them in the past, although it is limited history at that. He had 64 fantasy points in his one lone start versus them in 2025. Didn't pitch against them last year in 2024, but definitely do like his upside if we look at what he's been able to do so far in this season. He's got 16 wins. Here he's at 2.63. Once again, averaging over 43 fantasy points per game at $11,000. But like I did mention, there are a lot of very viable pitchers on today's slate, so definitely feel free to mix and match as you do see fit. And then we'll get moved down to our hitters. We're going to start off at second base with Luis Ariz. He's at $2,700, averaging about 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season. He's going against the Chicago White Sox. Davis Martin is the expected starting pitcher for them. He's 1 for 2 versus Davis Martin in his career. And if we look at what Luis Ariz has been able to do as of late, he's currently on a 7-game hitting streak. 3 multi-games are in time span, 0 home runs, but he does have 3 double-digit performances. So he's kind of that steady, safe floor option. Obviously, if you don't want to play him, definitely do understand that. But a guy that kind of fits in our lineup, he's relatively cheap. He's going to give us that safe floor and not going to hurt our lineup at the same time as well. And if we look at what he's done so far in the season, 287 batting average, 7 home runs, 56 RBIs. Once again, averaging about 8.5 fantasy points per game at $2,700. Then we're going to move down to third base with Caleb Durbin. You could also play him at second base. He's at $2,800, currently averaging just over 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season. He's going against the St. Louis Cardinals. Sonny Gray is the expected starting pitcher for them. And if we look at what Caleb Durbin's done in his career versus Sonny Gray, he's 3 for 6. And if we look at what he's been able to do as of late, he's got at least 1 hit in 6 out of his last 7 games. 4 multi-games during that time span, 1 home run, 4 double-digit performances, and 6 games of at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So relatively cheap price tag at $2,800, offering a pretty good floor as of late. If we look at what he's done so far in the season, 262 batting average, 11 home runs, 50 RBIs, once again averaging over 8.5 fantasy points per game at $2,800. Then we're going to move to shortstop with Trevor Story. He's at $3,600, currently averaging over 11 fantasy points per game. He is going against the Tampa Bay Rays, and the expected starting pitcher for them is Drew Rasmussen. He is 2 for 2 versus Rasmussen in his career. He's currently on a 4-game hitting streak, 4 multi-games during a time span to 1 home run, 3 double-digit performances in all 4 games. He's had at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So he's been doing really well as of late. Offers a relatively safe floor. He's up to a 268 batting average, 25 home runs, 93 RBIs. Once again, averaging over 11 fantasy points per game at $3,600. And then last but not least, we're going down to the outfield. We got Dalton Varsho here. He's $3,400, currently averaging over 11.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Going against the Kansas City Royals, Michael Lorenzen is the expected starting pitcher for them, and he is 1 for 3 with 1 home run versus Michael Lorenzen in his career. If we look at what Dalton Varsho has been able to do as of late, he has at least 1 hit in 5 out of his last 6 games, 2 multi-games during a time span. However, he does not have a home run, but he does have 3 double-digit performances, so definitely do like what he's been able to do as of late. It's been a little bit more hit or miss, but definitely do like his upside, especially in this matchup going against Michael Lorenzen. But if we look at what Varsho's done on the season in totality, 238 batting average, 18 home runs, 50 RBIs, once again averaging over 11.5 fantasy points per game at $3,400. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $11,500 remaining just under $2,900 remaining per player, so obviously we're going to have to find some value options on this slate just in general. I do have 4 hitters from 4 different teams. Stacks will play a pretty big role just in general, so feel free to mix and match as you do see fit. Obviously, like I mentioned with the pitcher position, a lot of viable options out there, so definitely feel free to mix and match across multiple lineups for your pitcher spot as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk through my top GPP teams to stack for Friday's slate overall. So we are going to start off with the Los Angeles Angels. They're going against the Colorado Rockies out at Coors Field. And the expected starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies team is going to be Bradley Blaylock, who has almost no history versus Angels team in the past. Definitely do like the upside, even though their lineup's a little bit less than stellar at this point in time. Then we move over to the opposite end of that game. We got the Colorado Rockies here. They're either going against, I believe it's Sam Aldergiri or Mitch Ferris. Either way, no history versus either one of those pitchers in the past. Very young and experienced pitchers for both them, so definitely do like the upside in that matchup just in general. And then we move over to the Arizona Diamondbacks going against Walker Buehler. Some pretty limited history versus him in the past, but some decent history at that. Walker Buehler, he had that strong start to the season, then he really faded off. Second start for the Phillies. I do like that matchup quite a bit just in general. And then last but not least, we have the Texas Rangers going against Jansen Junk of the Miami Marlins. I believe second start off the IL. They have very limited history versus them in the past, but definitely do like getting to that Ranger stack just in general. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP teams to stack for Friday, September 19th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in that comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I'll also be posting as many of these starting lamps I can get to throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure that you are checking up down in that comment section so that you do have the most up-to-date and relevant information, especially as we do head into lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks, typically Monday through Friday. Thursday's been a little bit wonky as of late, so I've just been posting my Thursday notes for free over on the Patreon page. And then I do have my CFL DFS video coming out once a week. Typically, that does come out on Wednesdays. Unfortunately, this week I was not able to get a video out, but I do have my CFL DFS sheet for week number 16 posted for free up on my Patreon page. So definitely feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in as well. And then I will also have my NFL DFS Core Pick video coming out this weekend as well for week number 3. And that will probably be posted on Saturday this week. In future weeks, it might bounce back and forth between Friday and Saturday, just kind of depending on the week and what else I have going on at that point in time. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS and PrizePicks. If you're a brand new user on either one of those sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For PrizePicks, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty good opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Friday, September 19th.